Hi, and welcome to Natilik Live. I'm Adam Halberter, Business Development Manager at Natilik. I'm here today with Richard Archdeacon, who's an advisory CISO at Duo Security. Richard, thank you for joining us today.
Welcome.
Thank you. Richard, you've been involved in designing security strategies for many different organisations over the years, and you would have seen threats develop and advance. What do you think should be at the top of mind for CISOs at the moment?
Well, when I'm thinking about what a CISO worries about, I divide it into two sections. The first is, if you want, the operation, how do they manage the organisation? And I've spoken to many CISOs, and invariably the top issue that comes out is I never have enough resource, the FTE issue. Yeah. So a CISO will have many different programs they want to run, many projects they want to get implemented, but they just don't have the resource to do it. And so what they're looking for the whole time to try and alleviate that is solutions which are simple, which can be easily implemented and easily used. Yeah. In other words, they're trying to make sure that the whole pick-up and take-up of security is eased in terms of their resources. Not only that, they want to try and simplify the security environment they've got. Over the years, enormous amounts of complexity have been built in. So can they bring together solutions that simplify the operations and allow them to focus on real issues like risk and so forth, and possibly their biggest issue, which is often compliance. So they need to try and make it easy to implement, easy to run, simplify their environment. Yeah. From the threat point of view, what I think is really very interesting is this whole issue around compromised credentials, which has become more and more common. And you'll see it mentioned in every single headline breach at the moment. And as one CISO said to me the other day, hackers don't break in anymore, they just log in. Yeah. I think that's a very important summary of the threat, that a hacker can go straight through all of your defenses just by using a compromised credential. So all of the other security solutions you've tried to put in place will be of no value whatsoever because they've got the put into your organization because of those compromised credentials.
Okay. Thank you for that. So the next point I wanted to talk about was this concept of zero trust. It's widely talked about within the industry at the moment. It's definitely a framework that Natilik have looked to apply to our organisations, and we're trying to help our customers on that journey too. What does zero trust mean to you, and what does that mean to Duo? And how would you help an organisation go on that journey, and what tips would you suggest?
Well, first of all, I think let's talk about zero trust as a framework or a way of thinking about security. And as you know, it was a term first coined by a guy called John Kindervag at Forrester some years ago. And I always think about as reversing the way we think about security. In the past, we always thought about how we would stop people coming through our perimeter. We've now accepted that the perimeter is open. Hackers don't have to break in, they just log in. Yeah. So how on earth do we now protect our organization? And we reverse our thinking by starting on the inside and looking out. So we start at the application and then we work out to the user. So it's the inside-out approach rather than looking from the outside in. So how on earth do we manage that new way of looking? I think that the key phrase around zero trust is trust but verify. So you have to allocate a level of trust to the user, having put them through a series of verification steps to build up that level of trust. And you apply that to the risk that the application has when they actually access it. So you have a high risk, low risk application. So you'd have different levels of trust that you'd verify and validate. So it's changed our thinking about how we structure our security solutions. One of the ways I think of describing it is looking at it from a contextually aware kind of access. What is the context of that access being made? And we look at different factors around that. And it's almost like making sure that identity now is not seen as a binary issue. You've got the right login details and password, yes and no. Yeah. But it's more a variable. You'll have a variable identity based on the context that we see you making that access in. So that's how I look at it at a very top level.
Okay, thank you. That was a good insight. One of my last questions is, Duo have recently been acquired by Cisco. Natilik are a large Cisco partner, so we thought it was a good opportunity to come and talk to you today. One of the things I think for our audience as well is to talk about Duo's journey where you started to becoming one of the leaders in multi-factor or two-factor authentication. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, certainly. The Duo, the concept of the solution, came out of what's called Google Beyond Corp thinking around security.
Yeah.
I think it's an important point because it came out of some big practical
Yeah.
solution being applied. So it's not a theoretical idea. So it came out as a very practical solution. How do you commercialize that? And the solution was based on how you look at the context of that access. So you look at three factors when you're deciding on the access. You look at the user, you look at the device, and you look at the application. And what does that help you do? First of all, make sure you can authenticate the user. They've got to say who they are, and you can confirm that.
Yeah.
So that's one level of risk reduced, one level of trust increased. Secondly, check the device. Because if it's an insecure device, then obviously you have a risk there. So again, check that, make sure it's at an appropriate level for your policy to allow you to have access. And then thirdly, work out which application is now going to be accessed, and then apply specific policies to that application. So three factors: the user, the device, the application. And this helps you control who's getting in and where they're going. So if you look at it from the kill chain, which is a good security model, you're minimizing the risk of infiltration, and you're minimizing the risk of lateral movement should some form of infiltration occur. So you're reducing risk all along the way. So that's really the architectural idea behind it. One of the most important concepts that was built into it was this whole idea of ease. And this is really important. Ease of use for the user, and ease of use operationally. And as we know, solutions have got to be made easy for users, otherwise they'll just duck around it. So let's make it easy as possible for the user to authenticate however they want to. Secondly, having an open architecture allows you to integrate easily into different applications that you might already have in your environment. So the operational deployment as a cloud solution is very easy. Integration into other tools that you might have is made very easy through this open architecture. And as we like to say, the CISO wants to be the Chief Information Security Officer, not the Chief Integration Security Officer. So make it easy to integrate with what you've got. So I think that was very much the driving philosophy around the whole creation of the solution. The aim was to democratize security, make it easy for everybody. So that's really what's driven the Duo solution.
Yeah, and I totally agree. We use Duo ourselves, and the user experience, from my perspective, is, it's very simple to use, and if I can use it, I think anyone can probably use it. So thank you for that. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. Thank you for your time, Richard. Really appreciate it. If you want to learn more or anything from this conversation sparks your interest, then we'll be at InfoSec with Duo on the 5th of June. So please come by and ask as many questions as you like to understand how Duo could feed into this zero trust approach for your organisation.